Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Capital City Baptist Church. My reading for today is going to be Psalm 18, verses 1 and 2. It reads like this: I love you, Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my Savior, my God, my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. Psalm 18, 1 and 2. For as long as history can record, people have been seeking to build impenetrable walls to guard against invaders, plunderers, terrorists, you name it. China boasts of the historic Great Wall that in its heyday extended with all its parts about 13,000 miles. That's a lot of miles, miles of wall. Western and Eastern Europe would build walls around their cities, castles, towns. In our country, in an attempt to deter people from entering illegally, our previous president made the effort of building an impenetrable wall, so they thought, anyway, that would border with our southern neighbor country, also known as Mexico. And in case you were not aware, Mexico also built a border wall between herself and the country of Guatemala for the same basic reason and purpose. And so the walls are erected in one place after another, all for the hope of securing a boundary between one people from another who are potentially a threat. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the building of such walls and other barriers are nothing new and have always been man's way of trying to defend themselves from enemies. We, in our houses, put locks on our doors. We put alarm systems and cameras. Some get and train dogs that will attack an intruder, and others, in some cases, will hire guards or purchase homes where there is a gate. A friend of mine one time said to me that locks are only good for keeping an honest man out. Now, isn't that the truth? Because no matter how much we invest in security, someone somewhere will figure out what the weakness is and eventually get in. The Bible tells us that God is our fortress and our Savior. With God, there is no weakness, nor can any penetrate the defense that He alone provides. You might recall that in the tale of the three little pigs, the one with the brick house stood against the huffing and the puffing of the big bad wolf. Now, that doesn't mean that the enemy didn't try to get in. The story shows that the wolf huffed and puffed his hardest, and I'm sure the building and the occupants inside the brick wall were fully aware of the attack. But the walls of the house of the third pig did not come down. The house of the straw house did come down. The house with the sticks likewise came down. But the brick house, and we all know this story, the brick house remained firm. Kind of reminds me of the story of the wise man back in the Bible who built his house on the rock. My dear brothers and sisters, we have an impenetrable fortress in the Lord that if we stay in Him, cannot be breached. The children of Israel were invincible, you might recall, when they were trusting in the Lord. But when they ventured straight away, they would suffer immeasurable destruction of devastating proportions. You know what? God isn't mocked. And so, my beloved listeners, who do you look for, for your ultimate, or rather, who do you look to for your ultimate security? The military? The police? Our government? Hmm. You know what? Let us look instead to the rock of our salvation. Our eternal fortress and salvation is the Lord. No other system will ever do. And let us instead rest securely, not in the protection that the government can give us, but instead the security that only His hands can provide. Why? Because He is our refuge and our ever-present help, now and forevermore. May God bless you. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you on Sunday.